Welcome to the 26th session where we are using Indian knowledge systems for creating a global well-being curriculum. In this session, we will discuss the approach to management that can prevent social pain and help meet the new goal of education. What management ideas can help individuals regain mental health and prevent social pain? Is there a way that management of life, work, and business can use the same ideas, the same curriculum to prevent social pain? If ideas used to manage work are in sync with ideas used to manage life, will it reduce conflict within humans, leading to less mental health issues? Can there be one curriculum for management of life and work? Take 5 minutes to write down your thoughts and ideas on this topic. Social pain creates an imbalance in society. The OECD now seeks well-being. The current knowledge system is unable to deliver it. The 4 goals of life in Indian knowledge system help attain dynamic balance and create individual well-being. Can this simple idea be clarified using management theory? Business is about strategy, and strategy, simply put, is a way of achieving a goal. Indian knowledge systems differs from current knowledge system in one way. Its idea of business, the idea of business in Indian knowledge system is a subset of the idea of life. IKS says if ideas of business are in consonance with ideas of life, it will eliminate conflict within the individual and between individuals. This creates individual and social well-being. The 4 goals of life of Indian knowledge system create dynamic balance within the individual. They are a strategy of living life. When all are in dynamic balance of well-being, society too gets in balance with well-being. The 4 goals of life, the 4 Purusharthas, are Indian knowledge system's well-being strategy. These 4 goals are ideas that the human mind is imparted, that merges practices of Indian knowledge systems with daily life. We call it the 4C approach here, as it gives 4 ways in which the mind can see what the seer saw. The first goal of IKS is righteous conduct, which comes through search for truth, which comes from speaking the truth. In management theory, we interpret it as cooperation or Sehna Bhavatu approach, as everything in nature cooperates, and only through that cooperation, natural cooperation which is happening in the universe, is a dynamic balance resulting. The second goal of life is Artha, which is how humans declare their distinction from other species. In our theory, we are calling it focused concern, a focus on creating excellence in all dimensions with a concern for goodness or a concern for all. The next goal is Kama or desire fulfillment. In business theory, we use competitive response as the way to fulfill desires. And the final goal is Moksha or Moha Kshaya, that is the end of attachment to delusion. These are useful only if they are viewed in pairs, that is, Dharma and Artha come together, that is, Artha is guided by Dharma. The second pair is Kama and Moksha, where desire fulfillment or Kama is guided by the Kshaya or the dissolution of Moha or illusion, that is Moksha. These are all a guide to management of the mind. In Hindi, the word used is man. If pun on man, if we pun on the word man, we find that the study of management in IKS is a study of all that is meant for the human mind in this age. The idea of such a study is to realize one's infinite potential. The self-realization of human essence removes the illusion. How to merge management theory with Indian knowledge systems? Michael Porter of Harvard gives 3 ingredients of strategy. They are simple consistency, reinforcement, and optimization effort. Simple consistency leads all in Indian knowledge systems to speak and search for the truth. And this leads to the second ingredient, reinforcement, through the resultant righteous conduct. This will naturally result in the third ingredient given by Michael Porter, that is optimization effort, where individual excellence is optimized with society's need. Indian knowledge system uses cooperation within the individual, that is cooperation of thought, word and deed. Its process starts with watching your thoughts, not controlling them. Watching thoughts, words and deeds leads to self-awareness. This helps giving them a gentle nudge, which Thaler, the Nobel laureate in economics, talks of. So this is the inner process of the external theory of Thaler. Just as we discussed the elements, that they have an expression within the human being and an expression outside. So this is the expression within the human being of the nudge economics of Thaler, where we economize on the thought, word and deed. We economize our words, we economize our actions, and we economize our deeds to make them in sync with what is optimum for the society, the optimization effort of society. So Porter's work shows how cooperation between the national diamond creates competitive advantage of nations. This cooperation includes cooperation not only between clusters, it includes cooperation within the industry and within the nation. And the role of all of these, the firm, cluster, industry, in bringing together the national diamond is researched, and Porter's research has been done over many nations to come to this conclusion. The next goal of Indian knowledge system of focused concern merges business and life. The first basic need of self-preservation applies to both life and business. Once this need is fulfilled, both should rise to fulfill the higher needs to realize the potential of business and society. This requires constant re-engineering of business processes as per changing customer and society needs as well as the market situation. The total quality management starts with raw material and quality checking processes. For all individuals, it starts with the raw material of thoughts and quality processing of attitudes. This requires steadiness and sacrifice of myopic self-interest to include the interest of the customer, suppliers, society, nation and nature. Deciding purpose of the business realizes its potential. Human nature seeks better values in unique and individual ways. Indian knowledge system recognizes that each individual is unique. Its education does not use a factory line production model, but seeks to bring out each student's individuality and creativity. All seek value from life or marketplace in their unique way. The inner influencers work on customers impacting the nature of demand. The customers constantly use creativity in shaping and reshaping their wants. This leads to current and emerging demand patterns to be fulfilled by current, alternative, or emerging new products. Creation is dynamic, not static. Along with inner influencers, outside influencers of technology, growth of knowledge too impact demand. Indian knowledge system is based on a dynamic balance. It's based on a study of the dynamic balance that is in the marketplace. Indian knowledge system thus fulfills Porter's three strategic alternatives of cost advantage, differentiation and focus. Hence it is best fit for use in education. The focus in IKS is on goodness while searching for excellence. The differentiation of IKS is that it declares its distinction from the current knowledge system. And the cost advantages of IKS is that there is less cost of social pain. So let's go to the third goal of competitive response and the IKS approach to it, the third Purushartha. The approach of Indian knowledge system is to create self-awareness about the business of living life in each individual. This emerges from self-observation that we initiate at the end of every session in the course and the daily diary that we recommend, which both of these lead to self-analysis. These two are foundations of practices of Indian knowledge system. Self-awareness leads to self-discipline. But self-awareness itself unlocks individuality and creativity that is hidden in all, beginning the actualization of their infinite potential. The mathematics session shared that infinity in Indian knowledge systems, even if you subtract from it, remains infinite. Such an attitude is not scared of competition from others. It only seeks to improve on past work, and it seeks to compete only with one's own past work. The knowledge system helps the mind unfold its hidden creativity to express its individuality. In this way, everybody seek and create unique value and this makes them compete with their past work because their work is so unique that there is no competitor to it. The only competition is with the high standards of the past work. When this attitude leads to enriching both life and business, the level of knowledge and skills keeps increasing and a new dynamic balance results from the existing dynamic balance. So the nature of nature is to change, and this change is evolving from one dynamic balance to a higher dynamic balance. Indian knowledge system uses the dynamic balance of inner influencers and society's influencers to make all humans rise in Maslow's need hierarchy using the 4C approach, integrating management of life with management of work. The competitive response in Indian knowledge systems emerges from a dynamic balance which is there in all. It is created by the practices of IKS. Now, this dynamic balance cannot create social pain. Because the individual's attachment is to excellence filled with goodness, and it is not linked to myopic greed. Such an attitude leads to rising in Maslow's need hierarchy, as has been demonstrated by many earlier sessions. What binds IKS, Indian knowledge systems? What binds society in Indian knowledge systems? Shared values joins everybody in society. The shared value of seeing oneness of humanity, the shared value of which was generated in the mathematics session. That is what joins humans with each other and with nature. The theory of karma, that you reap as you sow, aids humans in being very careful about their actions, and this helps them overarch selfishness, greed, and rise in Maslow's hierarchy to realize their higher order needs. So let us analyze the nature of the four goals or purusharthas. We find that two of these goals relate to how humans act in physical reality, and the other two relate to the spirit in which they should act. The pairing of goals is critical because each nature of action has to be guided by its relevant spirit of work. For example, the way to declare their distinction from other species, that is artha or focused concern, is expressed through actions. Such actions must be guided by righteous conduct or dharma. Similarly, desire fulfillment or kama is a natural way of all species to act. How will humans do this differently? They should lead them to attain the final goal that fulfills human purpose. It is a guide called moksha or compatibility with all. Moksha means the kshaya or end of moha or delusion. The physical reality of the world hides the quantum truth. It creates an illusion that leads to attachment or moha. The quantum reality is the final truth, but we have to live in and act in the physical truth, which is an illusion according to quantum mechanics. How to live in the delusional world that is revealed by quantum mechanics without attachment to it? The reality is subtle, yet we live in a gross world that appears to be true. The way to live and act in this duality is given by the four purusharthas. Using the four goals of life as a guide to action creates dynamic balance within humans, in society, and with nature simultaneously. It creates individual and social well-being. It's the way to business of living life and doing business. The spirit of work is important. It is developed by practices. In Indian knowledge system, the focus is on the spirit of work. OECD now expects education to inculcate values, transform attitudes to enable transformative competencies. All of these are about the spirit of doing work. The gross reality that we see with our eyes hides the spirit. The gross way in which work is done hides the spirit. The spirit of work is called management practice. IKS transforms the practice by using practices like speaking the truth. These inculcate habits that lead to emotional well-being of the individual and collective well-being in society. Hence, these practices are the curriculum that can enable transformation of individuals and society that OECD now seeks from education. Indian knowledge systems theory uses practices. Indian knowledge system spirit of doing work makes all compatible with each other. Dynamic balance, as is evident in nature, is only possible when all participants in nature are compatible to each other. The collective result of compatibility is a self-sustaining dynamic balance. This is the theory, but it has to be lived in through practice of IKS practices. The customer-centric view of business is a busyness in serving others for all our customers. The idea of business is to help customers meet their needs in the most optimum manner. Through the two adages of IKS, help ever, hurt never, and love all, serve all, fulfill the requirement of compatibility advantage. The four goals are protective layers for enabling this. This is shown in this diagram. The IKS view protects society. In IKS, dynamic balance must start from within each individual. Therefore, Indian knowledge systems begins the transformation of each individual to create dynamic balance in society. 4 shared values whose evidence has been shared earlier are inculcated in the education years, as is the attitude of service to society as a natural expression of human consciousness. Such habits are normal human expressions. This is what Indian knowledge system states. The study of matter using sense perception as the first way of knowing it rules out the role of human essence. When search and discovery of human essence is missing in education, humans are deprived of the joy of living in it, IKS states. Management practice then is dry and can lead to social pain. Social pain is just an expression of the lack of experience of inner joy that education should create. Indian knowledge system uses 4 goals of life to inculcate 4 shared values in society. The 5th shared value of non-violence can only result if the first 4 are firmly ingrained. The first 2 human values of truth and righteous conduct are the 2 conditions for taking this course. Inculcating them leads to inner peace and a feeling of equanimity, that is an expression of equal love for all. Without analyzing the human inner dynamics, any creation of well-being is not possible in the experience of Indian knowledge systems. The dynamics of value and values seeking in each individual helps creativity and individuality emerge. All are customers in society. The way of value seeking should be guided by shared values. When a myopic view bereft of shared values is the determinant of demand in society, social pain results. Indian knowledge system starts at the level of each individual to build society. Dynamic balance in society emerges from comprehending and experiencing the nature of inner dynamics of all human beings. IKS education focuses on practices that enable awareness of individual potential to influence the way value is sought and created in society. The role of primary influencers on humans is the first step for creating shared values. IKS transforms the influencers to transform how value is sought and created in society. It builds shared values that power, skills, strategy, structure, system and style in firms or companies that operate in society and nations. These shared values then become the core of the consumer subsystem, the industry subsystem, the national and international subsystem that is part of and that system which is part of nature. Gestalt is a whole which is larger than the sum of its parts. How is that possible in mathematics as we know it? How can the sum of 2 plus 2 be greater than 4? The power of group effort reveals that the skills of a group of people working together can create more than they could achieve if they had worked individually to solve the same problem. Mathematics of society is built on the Gestalt, the power of cooperation. Management study is about creating such Gestalt. Indian knowledge system uses this idea to first create a Gestalt between thought, word and deed of each individual. This unlocks the uniqueness of their infinite potential. When this interacts with uniqueness of all others, collective result of interaction sustains well-being. IKS learns the secret of management from nature. Here all cycles, some systems work together in a manner that a gestalt of collective functions creates dynamic balance that makes nature self-sustaining despite there being a continuous creative destruction. IKS ideas sustain inner well-being and sustain family, society, nation and nature. Practices are the basis of Indian knowledge systems method. This course lays a deep emphasis on practice. Every attempt is made to make all the lectures very short. A 5-minute slot at the end of this lecture is being given for silent sitting. This is to enable the participant to mull over what is said. Whatever has been heard should be repeated in the mind so that it gets absorbed. Just as sugar is stirred in a cup of tea or coffee with a spoon, use the spoon of silence to stir the sugar of Indian knowledge systems in your mind. It takes some time for the tea or coffee to become sweet. Patience is very important. The perspectives shared in the course will seem meaningful only if such silent sitting is done to mull over what has been said. Else, the half an hour spent in delivering the lectures will be a waste of time. We welcome you to undertake an inner journey during these 5 minutes. Only then will knowledge that is outside you will become wisdom inside you. The time allocated for this is actually 20 minutes, not 5 minutes. The time should be increased gradually. This is also a time for the mind to take rest. In case it cannot do that, mull over whether the voice of the conscience has guided you at any time in life till now. We accept challenges for the physical body in games. In a gym, we can have a 20 minutes plank challenge. We may exchange challenges on the quantity of food we can eat. Can we go beyond such challenges to the second step of the Indian knowledge systems? Can we see if the mind itself can take rest and maybe stop working? Can we explore what will happen if it becomes zero? Remember, it is not good to challenge the mind. It rebels and makes you do the opposite of what you want it to do. It is far simpler to observe the mind. For doing this, first the physical body should move as little as possible. Observe the mind as it tells the body to move. You are not telling the body to move, the mind is telling the body to move. Observe the mind. Move away from the mind and see what it is forcing the body to do. Watch the mind as if you are sitting on a fan at a distance. When you are at home, Shavasana in yoga is a good posture for this practice. Try to first silence the body, then the mind. For those who have mastered this, they can try the next method. When you think of nothing, can you experience love without giving it a shape of a thing like your favorite food or a thing that you want to own or the physical form of a person? Can it just be love without an emotion to a person or a thing? Can it be love for the sake of love? How do you experience loving yourself? The purpose of this course is to help you discover yourself, that loving being beyond the body and the mind.